Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Unrealist. If you want to learn more about making affordable housing possible by making it profitable, today is your day. But first, our unreal stat of the day. And it's that according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, there's a shortage of 7.2 million affordable and available rental homes for low income renters in the United States. That's a crazy number, and we're going to talk more about that. But first, allow me to introduce you to Atticus Leblanc. He's the founder of PadSplit. PadSplit is a housing platform that provides affordable shared housing solutions for low-income individuals. PadSplit properties are typically single-family homes or multi-unit buildings that are divided into private bedrooms and shared common spaces such as kitchens, living rooms, and bathrooms. Atticus, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Kyle. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So, what is PadSplit and what makes it different from other more traditional approaches?
Absolutely. Great question. PadSplit is a marketplace not unlike Airbnb, but where we align incentives between renters who typically cannot afford or access traditional housing opportunities based on their income, and owners who are looking to increase their returns. And so we sit in between those two groups and make those things possible for both.
And how do you make it possible? What's the unique take?
Yeah, so primarily we're shared housing today. And if you look at, let's start with your unreal stat, 7.2 million that are homes that we need today for low-income individuals and families. And why can't they access or afford traditional housing? It comes down to a couple different things. One, traditional property managers are underwriting at 3 times the monthly rent as an income requirement, which means that if you have a $1,000 a month apartment, you're talking about $40,000 a year in income. Well, guess what? Most metro areas, their average one bedroom is not $1,000. It's like $1,800. Well, that's $65,000 a year. So ask yourself, how many people make less than $65,000 a year? It's a huge number of renters in the general population today. And so you need to be able to qualify those individuals that make, whether it's less than $65,000 or less than $40,000 a year. We make that possible because we are including all utilities, furnishings, Wi-Fi, and we're billing on a per room basis versus an entire apartment or room. And so for us, our average all-inclusive cost on a monthly basis comes out to around $700 total. And that's with utilities, furniture. We report on-time payments to credit bureaus. We even provide access to telemedicine. And so it is much more accessible. The other barriers to entry for those individuals are minimum credit scores. We don't have a minimum credit score. They are, I can't afford the deposit. Okay, well, there's only an average $100 move-in fee. Application fees are $19. And so you can access housing with no long-term commitment under our platform for about $119. And that is unheard of for any housing anywhere in the United States. So that's what makes us significantly different on the resident side. And then on the owner side, we are providing 2x returns on average historically since we started over 5 years ago to those owners. And you do that because we set up each of these individually billing systems on a per bedroom basis. And the way that traditional real estate rentals are priced, our first bedroom is the most valuable, and the only one that is market rate truly. And each additional bedroom is diminishing returns from there. So if you look at a 4-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house, your 4th or 5th bedroom is never worth as much as your first bedroom in a traditional rental environment. And so what that allows us to do as a marketplace is to say, okay, we're pricing by the bedroom. We've built the technology to be able to run by the bedroom rentals at scale. And so we can bill around 60% of a typical 1-bedroom cost for each bedroom in the home, but that is incremental return rather than diminishing. And so that 5th bedroom is worth exactly as much as the first one, or the 6th or the 7th. And so you end up seeing significantly more income generated from the exact same asset. Or even if you take something like a formal dining room which never generated any income for an owner, that now generates $700 a month. Well, those create real incremental differences in the cash flow of the property. And oh, by the way, there's never any true 100% vacancy. Our collections rate has been consistently around 97+% since we've started. And so there are a number of huge advantages of just a rent by the room model already that have existed for decades, if not millennia. And what we're doing is bring
sorry to interrupt.
Bring those into technology. Yeah.
So you're saying what your software does is it makes it easier for someone with a 4-bedroom home to rent that 4-bedroom home by the bedroom, and also it helps you set up the common spaces, et cetera, as rentable space. Do I have that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So whether it is 1 bedroom or 17, like, it doesn't matter if you're single family, multifamily, have an individual bedroom. We make that possible.
Okay. And it's purely a software solution, or are there things that you're helping the owner or investor to do to help set up that home physically to be more easily rentable that way?
Yeah, great question. So at our core, we provide tools, information, and incentives, and we are a software company. We do have services side of the business where we can help be on the ground management as well. But historically, what we have done are the things that individual owners and investors in the marketplace either cannot do or do not want to do. And so we specialize in those particular services, which are all through the technology company. It breaks down more or less into 3 categories. Demand gen. There's no consolidated source of demand gen and getting prospective residents through the funnel and into rooms really quickly, especially if you're talking about lower income rent by the room. The second thing is payments processing. One of the reasons why our effective collections rate is so high, even though we're talking about low income, low credit individuals, is because we're billing all inclusive by the week or customizable based on payday. But that means it's a ton of transactions that really requires a technology solution. And then the last piece is the member management, communications tools, and from a customer service perspective, how do you deal with questions like Susie ate my peanut butter, Johnny's playing his music too loud, all of those types of things that cause a lot of owners some consternation.
Okay, that's super helpful. I think I get it. Okay, so if you could explain to me more about your vision. It sounds like, or maybe even backing up, how did you choose this? It's such a interesting sort of area to go after, this huge deficit of affordable housing. How did you choose that, and what is your vision for it?
Yeah. So, real quick, my journey started. I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. The only reason that I have been able to be an entrepreneur for that period of time and remained above water is I ended up buying a house out of foreclosure in 2003 when I was 23 years old. And I can go back to that individual decision and the equity that I ultimately built in the line of credit against that house. There are probably 3 distinct inflection points in how I was able to leverage that real estate as a vehicle for my own financial empowerment and independence over time. I've owned and managed probably 700 affordable units, about 120 houses plus a bunch of multifamily. Started my housing career really at scale in 2008 when I just kind of stumbled into it. Didn't really have any money, but had that line of credit. And so it was extremely impactful for my own life. And as I got started in that business, I was on the ground in a lot of these neighborhoods and doing in-depth customer discovery, and was really disturbed by the fact that people who were working full-time or who had guaranteed federal income in 2009 in the depths of the great financial crisis still couldn't access the reasonable, safe, and accountable housing anywhere in the city of Atlanta or anywhere in Metro Atlanta. And so that was something I was percolating in the back of my head for a long time. I ended up in the shared housing business in 2009 because 2 guys who were renting rooms in just a squalid house next to me needed a place to go, and they came to me and said,
Okay.
"Hey, can we rent rooms in your house?" They told me how to do it, uh, and I was comparing P&Ls of that model versus everything else in my portfolio over the next several years, and said, "Hey,
Hmm.
like this is a thing. Like we have this massive problem. I see it. You mentioned 7.2 million homes. Like no problem believing that stat, and I knew it at the time. And the question for me was, how do you make this scale? And so the vision for PadSplit, as I was comparing in late 2016, early 2017, the invitation homes own 50, 60,000 houses at the time model to Airbnb, which had 6 million listings. And I said, well, that's like that Airbnb thing. Like that's how you solve that problem. And so how do I take
Okay.
this model that I know works fundamentally and scale it? And that was the Airbnb marketplace type of vision. And for us, that vision is create a world-class marketplace that provides the fastest and most effective solutions to the affordable housing shortage for low-income earners. And that is
Okay.
our clear, concise vision. And then the mission is still to leverage housing as a vehicle for financial empowerment for those low-income individuals.
I got it. I love that. I think it's a really important mission. And it's a problem that it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. It's, if anything, it's gotten worse. And
Mm-hmm.
where I have faith in a lot of your listeners in the real estate market generally, like I saw how my neighborhood and neighborhoods that I was investing in changed almost overnight from 2008 to 2014 in the gentrification lens, however you want to view that positively or negatively. But it like what changed those neighborhoods was not some major deal or some large source of government funding. It was hundreds or thousands of individual decisions by both owner occupants and small mom and pop investors. And just the power of that crowd was really impressive to me and gave
Hmm.
me conviction that if you want to solve this problem, like we have to solve it ourselves. And how do you tap into the incentives for all of those individuals and show them
Yep.
that, hey, guess what? Like affordable housing can be more profitable than that other thing that you're doing, whether you're flipping or doing long-term rentals or Airbnbs or what have you. And if
Sure.
you could prove that, then guess what? Like they would scale and we as a community would solve the problem.
So let's pivot over to this renter experience. I'm curious, what is that like? How is it different? How much money are they saving typically? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what is the renter experience like on your platform?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the savings because that one's easy. 89% of our residents report saving money. The average savings across
Okay.
all members, including the ones who don't, is over $330 per month. Keep in mind
Wow.
that's $330
Okay.
a month, about $27,800 a year total income. So it's a huge
Mm-hmm.
percentage of their total income that they report saving to us. And aside from that obvious difference, the other major ones are, imagine instead of paying a $75 application fee and waiting 2 weeks for a yes no answer, and then you have to put down 1 to 3 months deposit, and then you have to go move in and set up your utility deposits. Like it is a seamless experience that is almost as easy as booking an Airbnb. There is no long-term commitment.
That's awesome.
Uh, your
Yeah.
application is approved or denied within usually a couple of minutes. And when you move in, if you have a problem with your home, fine. We have over 6,000 units on the platform. You can transfer very easily. You change jobs. You don't like the person who lives next door. Any reason whatsoever. Worst case scenario, you pay around $100 for a move-in cleaning fee to go transfer anywhere in the
Hmm.
country. So that is
Wow.
wildly different, and in my view, like the most powerful tool or power that you can give to a tenant or a resident is
Yeah.
the power of
Freedom.
choice. Yeah, it's freedom of
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah. I love that.
and it's empowering the
Yeah.
marketplace.
I'm actually super jealous now that I'm understanding what, because so on our platform, savings is our sort of number one value prop. I mean, there's simplicity and there's ease and there's all these things, but really we try to explain to people. But no matter what, like, understand you're going to save. We saved our average customer about $12,000 when they buy or sell a home.
Wow.
But there's this weird disconnect between like where that money is coming from and when it's spent, because when you buy a home, well, let's say you're selling a home, right? You have this agent, and typically people say, that's 6%, and then we're going to split it. I'm going to get 3%. It's kind of confusing, but don't worry about it, and because you don't pay until you get to the closing. And the buy side, they're like, don't worry, I'm a buy side agent. It's free for you. Don't even worry, I get paid by the. Yeah. There's all this sort of obfuscation of the money, and where versus like for you, it's like, your rent is due this month. You can pay this amount, or on our platform, you can pay that amount. Like it's just so straightforward versus we're always trying to like explain to people, dude, you're spending a lot of money on when you sell your house. It's
sure.
But anyway, yeah. So
don't be jealous, Kyle. Yeah, there is it is an incredibly complex business. This is again, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. This is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. It is also the most rewarding. But holy cow, do we deal with some complexity, man? I'm sure. So yeah, don't.
No, it always seemed easier.
Please don't be jealous.
Okay, so we talked about the renter's experience. One thing I want to get back to, you were touching on it before, but I'm a landlord, I'm an investor. What is my experience? Why am I going to earn twice as much as I would doing this the traditional way?
Sure.
Please explain that.
So as I think about the landlord community generally, what do they want? Like, what are their two biggest value props for them? Like, one, is it profitable? Two, is it easy? And so those are the two things that we're trying to solve in taking this very complex model. And I'm sure listeners on your show, like the immediate thought goes to, that sounds like a nightmare. You're talking about 6+ strangers sharing a house. The dirty secret is, well, not really, not usually. Like, yeah, it happens, and we're built around accommodating those instances when they do occur. And we've seen 14,000 stays at this point, so we've seen just about everything, and then some. But it's how do we make it easy, and how do we continue to make it profitable? The profitability aspects are really straightforward. Like, that part's not hard. It would be more profitable if you did it on your own. And it's more profitable if you do it with us. So just the basic economics underlying the business model make it more profitable for rent by the room. Anytime you're talking about usually 4 or more rooms in single family, and any more than 2 rooms in multifamily. The biggest things that we do to make it easy, number one, that consolidated source of lead gen. We are better than anyone. I have no issues about saying that at filling rooms quickly and getting people through that funnel and into rooms faster than anyone, no showings, and making that seamless. And then the next part is, how do we make it scalable, right? I mean, I ran a couple of shared homes on my own for years. We could do it. It takes some doing. It takes some operational sophistication. Yes, it is kind of a pain in the butt. So how do I remove as many of those pain points as I can operationally? And that's ultimately, I think, the secret sauce for us relative to investors is that, I mean, we have folks with almost 200 houses on the platform, and we have folks who have individual bedrooms on the platform. So the technology on the back end, like, there's a custom built CRM, there are custom built communications tools. There's just a wealth of information about how do I do this thing at this point in time, to really make it easy and seamless for any investor or even a homeowner.
Okay, that's helpful. Can you break down sort of just like the typical economics? Like, the customer has what size home, how much are they spending to sort of get on your platform? How much are they earning? Et cetera. It's like a simple breakdown.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, wildly dependent across the use cases. Again, and we have over 6,000 units. We're the largest co-living marketplace in the country right now. But I'd say kind of average run-of-the-mill home in Atlanta, an investor is typically spending, call it $250,000 to $300,000 on a house. They are furnishing the unit, making sure that it meets base minimum standards for HUD for every bedroom, where there are 2 points of egress. They're doing some additional fire protection stuff. They're usually putting a Wi-Fi connected lock on the front door, because our system will generate specific lock codes for each individual as they book. They're typically, furnishing the home. Different investors have different strategies around, do I put a common area? Do I put TVs in the rooms? Do I put anything in the kitchens from, pots and pans or plates? So that's different, but on average, let's say $50,000 for a renovation, fix up and furnishing. And then if they were going to rent that as a traditional single family home in this market, maybe they're looking at a 4% unlevered return on cost. Whereas through a PadSplit model, they're probably looking at a 9% unlevered return on cost. And so
Wow.
that's really, and that's on the additional expense as well that they would pay for the furnishings of the home that they might not otherwise do. It includes our fee being taken out as well. So that is a soup to nuts comparison.
Okay. That's helpful. I like that. Okay. So I think you've covered most of my questions. One I have that's kind of lingering is there any compliance or zoning or geographic limitations to this model?
Sure. Great question. I mean, the two major hangups that a lot of investors have is, well, regulatory risk or headline risk. They are either unfamiliar or kind of afraid of working in a lower income segment, because as a society, we always think of low income, low credit, danger zone. And I think we've largely addressed that through the data. Again, 14,000 stays, effective collections rate 97+%, average credit score under 500, average income $27,800 a year. Like, for most real estate investors, like, their heads explode when they hear that stat. It's true. And don't believe it, talk to our owners. The other thing on the zoning side, we qualify as single family in just about every jurisdiction that we're in. And we make sure that we have a colorable legal argument around the definition of family in every jurisdiction that we are operating in. And for any host that is challenged on the definition of family, we will absolutely take that to the mat, because it's a fundamental human right. And we think that there are significant issues around housing discrimination and fair housing generally. And we've been very successful at anytime those have been challenged, making sure that those issues are set right in jurisdictions. And we'll go to the mat anywhere that we're operating for those zoning cases that, maybe somebody started an unrelated limit on unrelated people because they were concerned about brothels in the 1920s, and some of those laws are still in the books. But
sure, especially in not Georgia, but I think some other states in the South, they're still there, right?
They're everywhere. I mean, we have 83 different jurisdictions in Metro Atlanta. We have 83 different definitions of family, Kyle. It's insane. It is insane. And I think the general public doesn't have any idea that those laws are still on the books, where you can be in one jurisdiction where it is 6 unrelated people plus 4 boarders occupying no more than 2 rooms, plus as many domestic servants as you want. Like, that's still on the books. And then you go across the street and it's no more than 2 unrelated people. And oh, by the way, grandparents can't count as part of the family. Like, some of these laws that are on the books would absolutely blow your mind. And so
Yeah.
anytime
Yeah.
you see some of that stuff that's still out there, like we'll go to bat on those all day, every day.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that wraps us up. I think, for me, some of the takeaways are that, your vision is really sort of critical in an age where we have this 7 million, sort of deficit of available affordable unit available affordable housing.
Yeah,
We really, it's funny, like it's just this major demand, and you're filling it with your approach. It sounds like the renters that are on your platform are saving a tremendous amount of money, which is near and dear to my heart as someone who also runs a savings platform, and that the landlords are more profitable, which is it's interesting. It's like a very altruistic sort of virtuous circle that you've built, which I think is
appreciate it.
important.
Yeah, I mean, we're set up as a
Yeah.
public benefits corporation for that reason. I mean, we're serious about creating impact.
I love that. You're not doing it, and there's nothing wrong with buy one give one impact, but I love that it's built into the core of your business and your message. That every time somebody's renting, they're saving. Every time, I mean, it's you don't have to do anything sort of extra for it to be working all the time.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Okay, so this is typically my favorite part of the show, although I've really enjoyed hearing about your business. We're going to do a fit check. And I brought one of my favorite pairs of sneakers today. I don't even remember what these are called, but they're a new version of this sneaker that Andre Agassi used to wear back in the 90s. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Agassi, and I could not afford those shoes. So when I saw these, I bought them immediately as an adult. They're super comfortable and great for tennis, although they're like a knit upper, so you can't really drag your toe. These are mine today. Nice.
Love it.
What you got?
I am wearing right now. They're probably, so I don't know if you've ever heard of the brand Olakai, but these were some of the original Olakais. I don't know how old they are, but they're old.
Okay.
And they basically feel like bedroom slippers. But I still wear them.
I have not
all
seen
the time.
Those. Okay.
And they've gotten pretty hip, and they have all sorts of different styles now. But at the time, they just had these ones with the crazy soles, and I still love them. Still love them. And cool. Usually I'm running, and Brooks Glycerin are my go-to.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a serious runner.
I wouldn't say serious now, but
yeah. I know when somebody brings out
regularly for my sanity.
Okay, when somebody breaks out the Brooks Glycerin, I know that's like somebody that runs miles.
Yeah, I do my sub 400 mile checked, and have to cycle my shoes with some degree of regularity.
Okay, all right. This is a serious runner. I like it, man. Thank you for joining the show. Where can people find PadSplit? Find you? Please, the listeners know.
Yeah, so PadSplit.com, and we can listen. We can help any host anywhere in the United States, and if you're in Canada or Mexico, we'll try to figure that out as well. But yeah, pretty much anybody in America, we can help you, and that's another big part of the vision. So just go to PadSplit.com, and if you want to be a host, go to host. And if you're looking for more housing opportunities, then register as a member.
All right. Thanks so much for your time today, Atticus. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Kyle.